Greetings everyone, I'm Detective STARBORN, and I'm glad to see you on my YouTube channel. Please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on new and interesting videos. Thank you, and enjoy watching. Yorkton, a small town in southeastern Saskatchewan, became the site of events that were shrouded in mystery from the very beginning. One of the town's residents, 16-year-old Mikaela Barley, disappeared on the morning of April 12, 2016. Her family, friends, and the police tried to understand what had happened. It was an ordinary morning. Mikaela and her mom, Paula, were getting ready together, and then her grandmother drove her to Sacred Heart High School, located near Hopkins Lake. But it soon became apparent that this day would be far from ordinary. At 10 o'clock in the morning, Mikaela's friend Shelby received a strange message from her asking for help. "Hey, I need help!" Shelby didn't see this message in time. She hadn't taken her phone to school, and by the time she returned home, the message had lost its urgency. 20 minutes later, Mikaela sent a second message. "Never mind, I figured it out myself." This was the last time anyone close to her received any communication from Mikaela. Later, it became known that she had left school without waiting for her grandmother, who had come to pick her up. On the day of her disappearance, Shelby and other friends recalled that Mikaela had discussed possibly traveling to Moose Jaw or Prince Albert. She had also mentioned a family vacation to Regina. Some friends noticed her strange behavior the day before. She talked about a boy named Josh, but didn't want to go into details. A school teacher described Mikaela as upset during classes. That evening, Paula tried to contact her daughter, but unsuccessfully. At first, she thought Mikaela might be at music lessons, as they had practiced the evening before for an upcoming concert, but she wasn't there. Soon after this, Mikaela's grandmother went to Paula's workplace to report that her granddaughter was missing. The police quickly got involved in the case. Their first step was to try to determine what Mikaela had been doing in the last hours before her disappearance. It was discovered that she had asked her friend for a ride to the bank. Mikaela had made several calls to TD Bank's customer service, checked her balance, and transferred $25. But these actions provided no insight into what had happened to the girl. At Paula's house, the police also found nothing that might hint at Mikaela's plans to leave. The money kept in an emergency box remained in place, and her phone charger was also at home. This ruled out the possibility that she had planned to leave town for long. On the evening of April 12th, Paula Barley officially reported her daughter missing to the police. Paula returned home to get photos of Mikaela to help with the search, and fear overwhelmed her. Nothing indicated Mikaela's plans, and the more she thought about it, the fewer answers she found. Around 8 o'clock that evening, Mikaela had sent several messages to her friends, including her ex-boyfriend. In one of the messages, she said she needed help, but didn't specify what kind. She also wrote about some boy who was sympathetic to someone and crying. The ex-boyfriend remembered that Mikaela had told him she was unhappy and was thinking about leaving town for a few days. Friend Emmy mentioned the name Christopher, a person who was supposedly coming to Saskatchewan to meet with Mikaela. The police carefully examined the day preceding the disappearance. At 11 o'clock on April 11th, Mikaela met friends for lunch, during which she shared her thoughts about the trip. Her behavior raised questions among her friends, but no one took it seriously. After lunch, she returned to school, but her teacher noticed that she looked depressed. Friends and family, speaking with the police, tried to remember as many details as possible. Some recalled her conversations about a boy named Josh, as well as the name Christopher, who was supposedly coming to visit. These mentions added mystery to the situation, but didn't provide any clear answers. Mikaela Barley's disappearance became an unsolved mystery for Yorkton. Her family and friends still cannot understand what exactly happened that day. Soon after the disappearance, the police focused on her contacts and possible plans, but the solution remains far off. Mikaela's disappearance became one of the most mysterious events for the small town of Yorkton. The investigation began with contradictory testimonies and many unanswered questions, and the details that emerged only intensified the tension. The first key moment occurred on the day of disappearance. Surveillance cameras captured Mikaela near the school around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She seemed to be waiting for someone. This fact immediately caught the police's interest, as Mikaela's mother, Paula, claimed that her daughter never missed classes, including violin lessons. Approximately 4 hours after her disappearance, her mother reported the incident to the police. Mikaela's phone records provided no substantial clues. By 7 o'clock the next morning, her phone was turned off. Account analysis showed that she hadn't made any calls that might indicate her plans. The only leads were her activity on Snapchat, Instagram, and Kik, apps known for their anonymity. Investigation in this direction was hampered by limitations in accessing data from such services. Some of Mikaela's friends knew that she communicated online with people from other cities and even countries, including a man from the United States. 2 days later, the police turned to the public for help. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police released Mikaela's description. Height, 5 feet and 2 inches, weight, 125 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes. She was last seen wearing a burgundy or purple coat, a turquoise scarf, and jeans. The community united in the search, and the town's mayor noted that the schoolgirl's disappearance had caused strong concern among residents. The investigation began to uncover unexpected details. Mikaela's friend Oksana told police that shortly before her disappearance, the girl had talked about having $5,000. A check of financial information did not confirm this statement. Also discovered was an Instagram message posted several weeks before the disappearance, in which Mikaela asked to be added as a friend on Snapchat. Of greatest interest was a man named Christopher from North Carolina. He was mentioned in Mikaela's conversations and was known to her friends. One of them remembered that Mikaela had said Christopher was planning to come to Saskatchewan. Christopher himself stated in an interview that he had previously helped people with psychological problems, including self-harm, but refused to give details. Police questioned him and searched his house, but found no evidence of his involvement in the case. Information about Mikaela's family added complexity. Some friends claimed she wanted to find her biological father, who was believed to be deceased. Later, a man named Rick claimed he might be her father. Police searched his house, took DNA samples, but found no connection to the girl's disappearance. Additional events only increased the mystery. Shortly before her disappearance, Mikaela mentioned someone named Josh, but the police were never able to establish who this person was. Also, a week before her disappearance, she received a bouquet of roses, whose sender was found later. The police stated that this person had no connection to the case. Each new detail only increased the number of questions that remained to be answered. The investigation continued, but many mysteries remained unsolved. Mikaela's disappearance attracted attention not only from her family, but from the entire community. The course of investigation began with contradictory facts that only complicated police work. One of the first leads was a message about Shelby sent through Snapchat. 3 months after Mikaela's disappearance, this message was read, which sparked a new wave of hope. However, subsequent messages about Shelby, sent on graduation day, remained unanswered. This intensified the family's anxiety, who never stopped searching. At the time the case was transferred to the General Investigation Section, GIS, police focused on studying Mikaela's connections with unknown men. Witnesses claimed they saw her at the bus station on the day of her disappearance, where a heavy-set man with a flaming cross tattoo was nearby. This man was thoroughly sought after, but it turned out he had merely held the door for her and had no connection to her disappearance. Meanwhile, investigators checked Mikaela's social media and bank records, but the lack of a digital footprint was troubling. In our time, this is almost an exception, which only added mystery to her disappearance. At the same time, police thoroughly investigated the possibility of hotel room bookings, as Mikaela may have planned to stay in town. However, no one at the hotels had seen her, and surveillance cameras didn't record any attempts by her to check in. Mikaela's family members tried to support each other, but life without her turned into constant waiting. They organized round-the-clock phone duty, hoping for any call. For her mother, Paula, her daughter's disappearance became a personal tragedy. She felt she had failed to protect Mikaela and keep her safe. Paula expressed hope that the reward announced by the family would help attract attention and provide new information. The reward amount reached $25,000, thanks to joint efforts from the community and Crime Stoppers organization. Among other events, the fact emerged that Mikaela had allegedly mentioned having oxycodone. However, after checking the information, police found out it was Accutane, a common medication for treating acne. A neighbor also remembered that shortly before her disappearance, Mikaela had mentioned money in her account, although verification showed her words were fiction. Additional data about activating a child search alert with downloads in Manitoba and Alberta brought new attention to the case. However, this measure did not yield the expected results. Police continued to receive messages from citizens, but none of the 38 leads checked out. For months, the Yorkton community supported the family, organizing actions and events. Children's groups, teenagers, and churches raised funds and demonstrated incredible solidarity. Despite the efforts, each new day without news only intensified the feeling of helplessness among Mikaela's relatives. The key understanding remained that the investigation had stalled. Mikaela could be anywhere, but without new data, finding her was becoming increasingly difficult. The investigation continued, but neither the police nor the family could answer the main question of what happened to Mikaela. The events surrounding Mikaela Barley's disappearance were chaotic and emotionally draining for her family, but attempts to find the girl didn't stop, despite the lack of tangible results. The search began with reports of her possible appearances. One of the first such cases was information that Mikaela was seen at the Metrotown shopping center in British Columbia. Although there was no confirmation of this, Paula, her mother, immediately went there. She distributed flyers, talked with visitors and shopping center staff, but again, without results. This wasn't the only false lead. Similar reports came from Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton, but none of them led to finding Mikaela. The search spread to troubled areas. In Vancouver, Paula visited the eastern part of downtown, known for its difficult situation due to high levels of homelessness and drug problems. Despite her fears that Mikaela might have ended up in such a place, Paula continued searching. She visited shelters, talked with local residents, but again, found nothing. The family tried to cope with the emotional strain. Each day without news about Mikaela was a test. Her brother and sister struggled to adapt to life without her. For Paula, accepting the situation was particularly difficult. She took leave from work to focus on searching for her daughter and believed that it was her duty as a mother never to stop. She emphasized that people don't disappear without a trace and believed that someone knows what happened. The investigation officially moved to a new level 1 year after the disappearance. In April 2017, Mikaela's case was transferred to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Unit, specializing in historical crimes. This decision reflected the complexity of the situation and the lack of progress in the search. Paula faced social consequences of her daughter's disappearance. She said that no one can understand how devastating such an event can be for a family until they find themselves in a similar situation. Even everyday actions such as dinner or trying to sleep reminded her of the emptiness left by Mikaela. Over the months, there were many false leads. Among them was information that Mikaela was seen in Burnaby. This lead, like others, wasn't confirmed. However, Paula continued to believe in the necessity of checking any information, considering it her duty to use every opportunity to find her daughter. The community provided support to the family. Events and actions to help search for Mikaela were organized in different Canadian cities. Paula noted that finding one person might require an entire country, and she was grateful for the help of everyone who responded. Despite the efforts, the situation remained uncertain. The last time Mikaela was seen was at the bus station in Yorkton at night. Since then, there had been no confirmed data about her whereabouts. Each new day brought more questions without answers. Paula had no doubt that Mikaela needed help and believed that her duty as a mother was to continue fighting, despite the lack of clarity and results. In August 2019, Paula received a call from a man who claimed he had seen Mikaela several months ago in March near a nightclub in Edmonton. He said he had started a conversation with a young woman who introduced herself as Mikaela. According to him, she looked naive and didn't fit into the surroundings. This message inspired Paula to make another appeal to the police. But as in most cases, this lead didn't bring any concrete results. Let's go back to July 2017. A team of divers began examining Hopkins Lake, located behind Sacred Heart High School. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police stated that this was a standard procedure as part of checking all possible scenarios, including accidents. However, the lake provided no clues about Mikaela's whereabouts. A year later, in March 2018, Mikaela's family initiated the Ray of Hope campaign to increase the reward for any information about her whereabouts to $50,000. Mikaela's mother, Paula, became actively involved in events related to missing children. She emphasized the need to create task forces, like in the United States, for more effective response. At this time, thousands of posters with Mikaela's image were posted throughout Canada and the United States to remind people of her disappearance. By 2020, the reward amount for information was cut in half after one of the major donors withdrew their funds. In one of her Facebook posts, Paula expressed gratitude for any support, but also shared disappointment about the lack of results despite all efforts. Going back to the events of August 15, 2017, it's worth noting that the search in Hopkins Lake was just one of many police steps that, in Paula's opinion, didn't bring tangible results. During the 14 months after her daughter's disappearance, about 240 leads were received, but none led to a breakthrough. This caused Paula deep disappointment. She often said she couldn't accept that after such a long time, the police had no new information. On July 1st, 2018, on the eve of Mikaela's birthday, the family held a charity event to draw attention to the search. This date, like many others, was particularly difficult for Paula. She admitted that on such days, the hope for sudden news about her daughter becomes almost unbearable. Against the backdrop of all these events, in March 2018, Paula continued to advocate for reorganizing the approach to searching for missing children in Canada, suggesting using the United States experience. This concerned not only professional search operations, but also general support for families finding themselves in similar situations. The National Center for Missing Children in July 2017 suggested that Mikaela might have left Canada and gone to the United States, possibly to Portland or Seattle. However, no confirmation of this version ever appeared. By 2019, 2 years after the disappearance, despair mixed with rare flashes of hope. Each new message could have been a turning point, but time after time, it turned out to be a dead end. In 2022, Saskatchewan police, together with the Washington State Patrol, launched an initiative as part of the Homeward Bound program, designed to search for missing people. Photos of Mikaela, accompanied by age progression images, were placed on semi-trailers traveling between Mexico and Vancouver. This program, started in 2005 by Washington State Patrol officer Renee Padgett, aims to raise awareness about missing people. Mikaela's photo on these trucks became a symbol of resilience and hope for her family. Since the program's launch, photos of 32 missing children have been displayed, 3 of whom were found alive. 5 years after Mikaela's disappearance, her family organized a ceremony near the high school where she studied. Participants began with prayers and a moment of silence, after which anyone could share memories and words of support. This event proved to be very emotional, but no new leads about Mikaela's whereabouts emerged. 6 years had passed since the disappearance, and at a press conference dedicated to this event, it was announced that the reward amount had increased to $100,000 thanks to anonymous donations. Yorkton Mayor Mitch Hippsley noted how important this case had become for the community. "We're all in this together. We're one big family. We really feel that way. We're a small community, and this is how we act. Despite all efforts, more than 600 tips and messages didn't lead to real progress in the search. One of the troubling aspects of this case was related to the inability to access Mikaela's social media accounts. Police couldn't access her Instagram and Snapchat data for a long time because these companies are registered in the United States, where data protection laws are very strict. Only after 10 months were they able to access the accounts, and the amount of collected information was enormous. Thousands of pages needed to be analyzed, which took even more time. Work with this data was conducted with support from other police units. On Mikaela's 20th birthday, her family held a gathering aimed at drawing attention to the problem of missing children in Saskatchewan. Mikaela's mother, Paula, spoke about the fears that families of missing persons face. The fear that their children will become just statistics, that memory of them will be forgotten. About 25 people attended the event, and Paula urged the government to provide more support to families who have lost their loved ones. Years after the disappearance, police still couldn't offer any theories explaining what exactly happened to Mikaela. The last contact with her was recorded by her friends, after which her phone stopped working. The situation proved especially strange, considering modern technology that usually allows people to stay connected. Investigators believed she might have turned to someone for help, asked for shelter or money. This remained one of the few working versions. Mikaela's relatives never stopped looking for her. They relied on social media, followed up on leads, made calls, and wrote letters, maintaining a Facebook page called Bring Mikaela Barley Home. Her younger brother and sister were experiencing it particularly hard. They even stopped playing musical instruments because they couldn't feel joy until their sister returned home. Mikaela's brother couldn't pour himself a drink, as he felt deep guilt and fear that Mikaela might be without food and water. The family didn't lose hope, despite the difficulty of the situation. Paula, Mikaela's mother, shared that her younger children sometimes sit on her lap and say, "Mom, I'm afraid Mikaela will forget us." She always answered them, "She will never forget you, and we will never forget her." Paula's determination, and that of the entire family in these circumstances, continued to be an example of resilience and strength of spirit. On the 6th anniversary of Mikaela's disappearance, another press conference was held, where information about increasing the reward amount for any information that could help in the search was announced. Thanks to community support and anonymous donations, the reward amount reached $100,000. However, this didn't bring any substantial breakthrough. The number of leads exceeded 1,000, but they all ultimately proved to be dead ends. In 2023, Mikaela's family continued to conduct actions and events dedicated to searching for her. All free minutes went to using social media, traveling to different places, answering calls and letters. Mikaela's mother continued to believe that her daughter would be found. She always said, "Hold on, we're looking for you. Run home when you can." Over time, Mikaela's story became one of the most discussed in the community. Saskatchewan Police and the Washington State Patrol launched a program where Mikaela's photos were placed on semi-trailers traveling across North America as part of efforts to find her. These photos became a reminder for everyone that Mikaela's disappearance isn't just a case, but a tragedy that affected many people. To this day, investigators haven't been able to find any evidence that could shed light on Mikaela's fate. Officers like Kim Stewart continue to return to this case in their thoughts. They admit it's difficult to spend so much time on an investigation and simply stop looking. Hope remains, and they are always on alert, ready to respond to any new information. Thank you for watching this video, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I look forward to your comments on this situation. That was Detective STARBORN. See you soon.